Let's watch this video of this valedictorian.
I have dreams and hopes and ambitions. Every girl graduating today does. And we have spent our entire lives working towards our future. And without our input and without our consent, our control over that future has been stripped away from us. I am terrified that if my contraceptives fail, I am terrified that if I am raped, then my hopes and aspirations and dreams and efforts for my future will no longer matter. I hope that you can...
Okay. First of all, she's talking about that you are, what's it called? She's talking about the dreams and hopes and aspirations they have. The only reason why you have those hopes and aspirations is because you were born.
Exactly.
You had to be born to have hopes and aspirations, okay? You numbskull.
And it's funny because when obviously she's making a pro-choice argument here. She hasn't explicitly said it yet. She will get there. But when people make these pro-choice arguments, they always use this small subset of what actual abortions are happening in America. They say, well, if my contraceptives fail, you know, that 99.9% success rate with contraceptives, but if I'm part of that 0.1%, I would love the choice to abort my unborn child. Or if I get raped, which also makes up less than 1% of abortions, I would love the opportunity to abort my unborn child. They always use these small subsets of abortion to make their argument, knowing full well that most of abortions, which I believe we've committed over 60 million here in the United States, are due to reckless sex.
Yes. Oh, definitely. But they use those arguments to try and like get you out of, because it's a horrible situation to be raped and get pregnant from that. That is a horrible thing, and don't wish that on anyone. That's terrible. But that is such a small amount of the actual abortions that take place. It's like it's a statistical anomaly in some cases.
It is.
And so, but they use that as a way to shift the conversation away from whether or not this is a human life issue into this is a woman's choice who got raped issue. But this is the same thing. Like they shame men. They say, oh, you don't have a uterus, you don't have an opinion. You understand that biologically it takes two people to make a baby. It takes a man and a woman for the woman to get pregnant. The man has a say in this. Just because he doesn't have to carry it in his body doesn't mean that he still doesn't have to have a say in this. And so they try and shame you. The left tries to shame you as men. Happen to me all the time when I try and make abortion videos and everything. They shame me and say, you can't talk about this. And it's like, I think that men need to stand up stronger about abortion and not let the left shame us anymore. And we need to be people who stand for the unborn. It's incredibly important.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what gender you are. You know right versus wrong. And I'll say this time and time again. Abortion is not a women's issue. It is a moral issue. And if you have a moral standing, if you have an opinion as to whether something is good or bad, you have an opinion on abortion. And again, with these people who use the argument of rape or failed contraceptives, when you sit those people down and say, okay, let's talk about abortion outside of that. Let's talk about abortion outside the, less than 3% of abortions that occur because of failed contraceptives and rape. Are you still okay? Are you still pro-choice? And time again, they will say, yes, I believe every woman should have the choice. So these little arguments of using rape and failed contraceptives are not to truly make the case that those are the only acceptable abortions. It is to use them as a blanket umbrella to promote all abortions. It has nothing to do with those two specific issues.
You'll find when talking to people, I actually have a chapter about abortion in my book that I hope you guys buy the book, pre-order it now. But there's a chapter in the book about abortion. And one of the things that I find the most convincing when you talk to people about abortion, I've done tons of videos on the street asking people about abortion, talking to college kids, and you'll finish the argument with them, you'll finish the debate with them, and they'll say, well, because they are so adamant to not change their mind, they say, well, I would never get an abortion, but I'm fine with other people doing it. It's like, that makes no sense. That's like, I would never murder someone, but I'm fine with other people murdering people. It's like people say you can't legislate a woman's body like that. It's like, this is murder. If you can classify it as murder, then it's the exact same as going out and stabbing someone in the street. So if you're using the argument and saying, I wouldn't do it, but I want other people to do it, that makes no sense. But that's where you'll get to the end, the bottom conclusion with a lot of people when talking about abortion, because they're so adamant to not change their mind because they think that they'll be seen as a bigot or someone who doesn't support women if they don't actually say that.
Exactly. Women who say that, and I was one of those women. If you had asked me 2 years ago about my opinion on abortion, I would have told you I am pro-choice, but I would never do that myself. And people who give you that answer know morally, they know within their soul that abortion is wrong, and that is why they would not wish it upon themselves. And to those people I say, if you don't wish it upon yourself, why do you wish it upon others? It makes absolutely no sense. And that was an argument that somebody proposed to me, and that changed my mind about being pro-choice. I am now a very, very proud, very, very strong pro-lifer. And to anybody who uses that statement, that I am pro-choice, but I would never wish that upon myself. Why do you wish it upon others?
We talked to this girl at UCLA. She was this black chick, and she was pro-choice. Excuse me, Dave's hot chicken. Anyway, we were talking at UCLA with this girl, and she was pro-choice, and she said that her mother went to the abortion clinic to abort her, but the abortion clinic was closed. And somehow this girl was still pro-choice even after hearing that. Like, that is a gift from God, telling you that you should have this life. Now she's at UCLA, living out this beautiful dream, and about to go to law school, is what she said in the video, something like that. And it's like, that's such an amazing thing. The thing about death is that it's completely final. When you die, or you don't even have the chance to live outside of the womb, then you don't even have the choice. People say, well, they'll be better off. They'll be better off if we just abort them, because, they could be in the hood and they could grow up in a bad neighborhood. It's like, life is full of so many opportunities. Like, I've talked to so many people who grew up, especially in America, where you grow up in low income status or with horrible circumstances, with a bad mom or bad parents, and you can make the most amazing life for yourself. Just because you are born, just because you have the choice and the ability to be able to do that. But when you're aborted, obviously, you don't have that choice. And someone took that away from you and didn't let you choose.
Right. And who are you to say, like, a baby that might have a bad life, so it doesn't deserve to come into the world? Like, who are you to make that choice? You're literally stepping into the place of God. That's evil.
Sure. Yeah. And you would be hard-pressed to find somebody who was born, who went through the foster care system, who had a life of which was impoverished, and to say, you know what, would you rather be dead? And I don't think you would find somebody who would sit you down and say, I would rather be dead. Even through all the struggles of their lives, even if they have to go through the foster system, bounce from home to home, even if they experience homelessness or they are poor, there are moments in life of which nobody should be stripped of. Just simply walking outside and feeling the sun is enough to make life worth living. And you want to tell me that because somebody has to go to the foster system, or somebody has to have a poor life or have a childhood that isn't ideal, that they somehow should not live?
Just having Chipotle once is enough to have a life worth living. For real. Love Chipotle. But Chipotle is my life.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. I wish Chipotle sponsored me. If you're watching this, Chipotle watches my stories. I will tag Chipotle in my stories on Instagram, and they watch them and don't reply.
Because you're conservative.
I guess so, but it's so annoying.
Anyway,
guys,
let's see what this girl has to say for the rest of her commencement speech.
I can feel how gut-wrenching that is. I hope you can feel how dehumanizing it is to have the autonomy over your own body taken away from you. And I cannot give up.
What about the autonomy of the baby's body? Where is the baby's choice in all of this? If you classify it as a human life, you read a science textbook. The scientists all agree that life begins at conception, okay? Life begins at conception when sperm meets egg.
Follow the science.
Follow the science, right? I thought that's what they believed in. So what about the autonomy of the fetus?
It's so interesting to use the word dehumanizing when making a pro-abortion argument.
I know.
What?
The irony.
The irony.
The gall.
Up this platform to promote complacency and peace when there is a war on my body and a war on my rights, a war on the rights of your mothers, a war on the rights of your sisters, a war on the rights of your daughters. We cannot stay silent.
Nice social distance graduation ceremony, by the way.
Right. Imagine you go to graduation, you're just a normal kid, you managed to, make it through high school, you did pretty good, you're graduating, you're going on to college, and then your valedictorian uses her platform to make a pro-choice speech at you. I
disagree with you. I think that's awesome, because I wish that because if you had a conservative who won it, like let's say the girl was a conservative and she gave a pro-life speech, I would be like, hell yeah. That is awesome. So I'm actually like under the impression that it's like, okay, if she's going to go up there and give her speech, like we need conservatives who are conservatives and win valedictorian to go up there and give their speech about the pro-life.
I'm on the opposite lane of things. I just think you're a valedictorian. Go make your graduation speech. Talk about how this is a great moment. You made it through high school. You're going to go to college and live your life and have something successful. I don't think everything.
First live Will versus Amala.
Every moment is an opportunity.
I'm sure. Some moments don't need to be opportunities. I think we've politicized everything.
If I won the valedictorian right now, I'd be like, Dr. Fauci lied. I'd be like, all lives matter. HC. I don't know. Bunch of like random stuff that would just be super based. It'd be 1 minute of just the most hardcore conservative stuff you've ever heard in your life.
So you're tackled and dragged off stage.
Yeah, exactly. But that'd be such a great moment. They'd be like, conservative student gets tackled and dragged off stage for his views. And it's like you make a scene about it. For sure. So I This girl did the right thing for her. If this is what she believes in, you should go up there and express your values. Because conservatives, the reason why we lose is because conservatives don't do this. Conservatives are like, no, I'm just going to give my valedictorian speech and just say thanks for the number 2 pencils, teacher. It's like you should go up there and say exactly what you believe in.
But in the same vein of things, I think everything is getting over politicized. It's like, why am I buying a Pringles can that has a Black Lives Matter flag on it? I want things to be separate. And I think one of those things is just, why can't everybody go? I mean, either way, if you come up as a conservative during your valedictorian speech, if you come up as a leftist or a liberal, you are alienating somebody who is sitting out in that audience. Just go and let everybody have a good graduation.
Yeah, but if a Pringles can, had like, if a Pringles can had like pro-American patriotic sentiment, you would want to buy it, right?
Sure, but I think everybody, I think being pro-American is just, we're all Americans. You're buying your Pringles in America. I wouldn't want it to be like,
but that's because
I'm a pro-life Pringles
we've gotten so far away. We've gotten so far away from even that you think that like, now even putting a pro-patriotic message on a Pringles can is politicized, which it shouldn't be. I'm not saying it should be politicized, but I'm saying we've strayed so far from that it's like, this is why we should be standing up at these things and getting political. If the left is going to do it to us at every single turn, if they're going to put, gay trans men in Ritz cracker ads, then I'm going to be as conservative as possible and stand up every single opportunity that I have all the time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if we don't, then we continue to lose. I wish that we had another, if you're a conservative and you're out there and you got valedictorian at your school, I hope that you give the most conservative speech possible. Or just call me. I'll give your speech for you. All right?
Will loves to do speeches all the time.
Will does. Taylor, you're the tiebreaker on this one. Would you rather a political free graduation or would you rather a pro-conservative speech? I'm interested.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence in between.
Beta.
I think two things can be true at once. It's important to stand for your values. It's important, not to back down and quiet down whenever you feel, just because you feel pressured. And so if you feel pressured, I think you should err on the side of, what, I'm just going to say my mind and speak my, speak what my beliefs out and make them known. But I don't know. I think it's also, the shared spaces that we have in culture are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I think we need those to grow. And like we're losing sports. Everything's becoming politicized. And, that you can't have a healthy society if everyone's always at each other's throats and we have no way to even communicate. And so we need the shared spaces to come back. But it's like, we also don't, we can't, cede that ground.
It's a different
just
battle.
in the name of, having shared spaces again. So it's a tough thing to negotiate.
I think if we were in a perfect world, if we were in a world where people were naturally patriotic or people were naturally conservative or upheld American values, then yes, of course, you don't need to be so political. But in a world that is dominated by the left, like destroyed by the left in so many places, then you have to. I
agree. I think the battle terms are a little bit different now because of how much ground the left has taken. I mean, we talk about all these things that used to be nonpartisan and now are partisan. A lot of the media that we intake, our children's kids shows, the Grammys, our sports teams, they've all become politicized. So I think in that sense, we as conservatives do have to step up and sort of fight on with the same rules that the left are fighting with. But I would just love it if we could revert back to having things that were never polarizing in the first place.
Oh, I wish that too.